Good morning, welcome to Walking Boxing. It is, Tuesday, December 24, 2024, Christmas Eve. Don't you just love Christmas Eve? It just has a feel to it, doesn't it? It's just magic is in the air. And we topped off our sort of preparations of our Christmas movies last night. We watched Die Hard. Tonight is Christmas Vacation. And would have actually been fight day, of course, for Sam Goodman and they were Inoue. So probably talk for a few husbands out there that maybe we all dodged a bullet by that fight getting postponed, because we'd be in front of the TV tonight watching that fight instead of relaxing with the family. So yeah, so what's that, January 24 that fight will be. So I'm sure Sam is settled back into training, as has Naoya Inoue. I'm sure they will would have taken most of the week off and reset and made adjustments to the training schedule, and I'm sure they'll both be good to go on January 24. So maybe they can have a bit of turkey over the weekend. We'll see. A little bit going on last night, as always. Always like to do a little bit of a review of Talking Boxing, which is on of a Monday night. And as always, it's entertaining. It's really great to see so many people continuing to join in. And yeah, we have the odd peanut. We get rid of them pretty quick, but it's been a really good community. It was great to have a lot of feedback as usual last night. Probably some of the main talking points, of course, the Fury-Usyk fight dominated most of it. Yeah, I think most people sort of saw it the same way. Unlike the first fight where there was a lot of this and that, and Tyson did this and Oleksandr did that, and was the knockdown the difference, all that sort of stuff. I think this fight, apart from a few, I think the main overview was that Oleksandr Usyk more than did enough to win the fight. That seemed to be the common thread, I think. So. Which is unusual in a big fight like that. Of course, we went through Beterbiev and Bivol a couple of months ago, and so much sort of everyone torn down the line, or right down the line on that one, and it's still going on to this day. And I was adamant that Bivol won. So many people adamant that Beterbiev won, and obviously he did get the decision. So they have the upper hand, I suppose, but. It's amazing that this is probably the first massive fight like this that hasn't had that debate, unless you're part of Team Fury, of course, and Tyson himself, Frank Warren. He had a little bit of support in Eddie Hearn and Oscar De La Hoya, but apart from that, not a lot. So I think the big thing was what's next for both guys. The other thing was the undercard, of course, with Moses Ottoma. A lot of conversation about him. And it's interesting, I read that there was an interview with Opetaia about Moses Ottoma, because a lot of conversation last night was about, geez, wouldn't that be a great fight? And Justice Honey was thrown in there as well. A lot of people thought that was just legalised manslaughter. But look, I don't know. You just never know in this day and age. I think Justice Honey is a great young talent, and I think he's going to be a good fighter. He's a big guy. I know there's a lot being said about his power, but don't underestimate what he can do. But the main talk was about, Jai and maybe moving to heavyweight, the Moses Ottoma fight, maybe Usyk coming down, all these sorts of things. And Jai Opetaia has actually said in the last sort of day or so after the Ottoma fight on that undercard of Usyk and Fury, that at the moment he's ruling out a move to heavyweight. He said he's got business at cruiserweight. He wants to unify the division. And at this stage doesn't really want a part of anyone there, including Ottoma, who he said was an awesome young talent. I'm not sure they sparred each other, but both of those guys were sparring partners for Tyson Fury in the lead up to the Usyk fight. So he said that, like us all, that Moses Ottoma, just an unbelievable talent, 19 years of age, and he said he can achieve anything, and a big fan of Ottoma. So he said that fight's not going to happen anytime soon. And as for Jai himself, he said, look, I want to unify the belts. I want at cruiserweight. Maybe if Usyk comes down, that could be a possibility. But he said at the moment, look, most likely eventually it will happen, but no plans at the moment, which is, I'd like to see him at heavyweight, but I think that's actually probably looking at it from afar, it's not a bad move. Stay at cruiserweight. The Zurdo Ramirez has already said that he would like to fight Joe Opetaia, so you get the feeling that that's going to be it. You would think that Jai will fight Nyika in, was it January 8th? Nyika very confident, by the way, that he will win. He's got to say that though, doesn't he? But I think Jai gets past Nyika, and then I would think it's going to be Jai versus Zurdo Ramirez, probably in the second half of next year, and then maybe after that, because you think by that stage, even with Usyk, he would have dealt with Dubois or Parker, whoever it's going to be. And then maybe he might look at that move to cruiserweight and maybe look at the winner of Ramirez and Jai Opetaia. I'm not quite sure if Ramirez beat Jai, he would fight Zurdo Ramirez. Maybe he would. I don't know. But obviously a lot of talk at the moment about him going back down. But yeah, some fascinating things happening there. The other big news I saw yesterday was the Dazn sale, or the Dazn purchase of Foxtel, and a lot of people saying what implications does it have to Australian boxing and everything with the no limit thing, and it's going to be interesting. The sale was for $3.4 billion. I'm just going to grab Neil here. $3.4 billion, and they bought the share of News Corp, who owns a lot of media here in Australia, most of it actually. So, and look, I don't know whether it's going to be a good thing or bad thing. A lot of people obviously curious or dubious, whatever you might want to call it, about can they handle the volume of traffic. They of course failed dismally over the weekend with the Fury and Usyk fight. But again, I said last night, you got to remember this is not a streaming service on Foxtel. When they do their pay-per-views, it's you don't get any dramas because it's all based on satellites and all that sort of stuff. So we don't get those issues. So I think we can sort of put that one to bed. The only issue we might have, of course, is if they use the zone for the pay-per-views like here in Australia, and then they stream those events to the rest of the world, whether it would crash. The thing to remember too, guys, is that very rarely do we get a fight of the magnitude of Usyk and Fury. It's normally they can handle the traffic. The other day, obviously, the demand on the fight was just massive, and it just crashed. I'm not trying to defend them, by the way, because if you're going to be a streaming service, well, then you've got to make sure that your streams don't crash. So, but look, as far as the no limit thing, my personal opinion is that I reckon once that contract is up, it will be torn up, and who knows? Maybe there's things in the contract with the sale that all existing contracts they have with everyone are renegotiated. I don't know how it works, or maybe it's like a normal business when you sell it, everything sort of goes along with it. I don't know, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the no limit thing, because at the moment, as we all know, they've got this monopoly on the Australian boxing scene, but we don't see a lot of the real elite fighters on Australian TV on a platform like Foxtel or Main Event. And Jai Opetaia is one of them, Liam Paro, all these sorts of guys don't get seen on that platform, and now they will. But how does that affect, and George Kambosos is the other one as well, so what effect does it have? It's going to be interesting to see. It really is. I think that the boys at No Limit would be just taking a little bit of a very interested look at what's happening, and no doubt they've probably already made some inquiries and had some conversations about, look, how does this affect us? Because it has to. You would think that everything's just going to get thrown up in the air and we start again. So I think though the best thing about it though will be that it will be good for Australian boxing one way or another, no matter what the form it takes. So we will see. Come here, buddy. Decided to go around a pole here. So we will see. But the organisation that's actually that owns Dazn, I think he's a Soviet/British businessman. He's worth $320 billion. Billion, yes, with a B. So he's the one that owns Dazn, or is the head of the organisation that owns Dazn. So you would think that $3.4 billion just to have a crack at the Australian Foxtel market, it's not much of a gamble, is it? And everyone's saying, well, how does Dazn make money? Well, there you go. They've got a fair bit of backing. The interest that he makes off that $320 billion a year compensates for all the losses and bad decisions and refunds on streams. I don't know, but yeah, we'll keep an eye on that. But big news for Australian sport, not just boxing, because they don't just do boxing, of course, they do all sorts of sports. The other thing I saw, Teofimo Lopez being spoken about fighting Subriel Matias on March 15th, I think the date was, on ESPN. Not a bad fight, really good fight. I'm not sure whether it's the blockbuster fight that Teofimo sort of wanted, whether it be Garcia or Haney or one of these types of guys, but that is looking more likely that it's going to be Subriel Matias. So a dangerous fight for Teo. I think he beats Matias, but as we've shown in the past, I mean, Liam Paro, of course, got the job done in the last fight, but before that, he'd obviously shown that he's a very dangerous fighter. So, yeah, I don't mind the fight. I think Teofimo Lopez wins that fight, but I like the fact that he's sort of stepping up and look, he's not active enough for me, by the way, Teo. I think he's giving away a lot of his best years, but that's a good fight. It's going to, if it's on just normal ESPN, we'll get it here in Australia. No pay-per-views and all that sort of stuff. Interesting to see whether it is pay-per-view worthy or not. I'm not sure. Probably not pay-per-view worthy, but yeah, good fight for Teofimo Lopez, and let's see if we can get past him and maybe set up those Haney and Garcia fights. Who knows? But Haney's the interesting one as well. We've heard nothing from him apart from all this bullshit with Ryan Garcia. We've heard nothing as far as actual opponents go. So look, maybe that beating took a lot more out of him than we thought. But I mean, was it that bad? I don't think it's any worse than a lot of other fights that I've seen. So I don't know what he's doing, whether he's just decided, or obviously he's not fighting for the rest of this year. We've only got a week to go. But yeah, one fight in 2024. Yeah, who knows where he's at as well. But either way, there's some good fights to be made at 135 to 140, all the way up to 147. Another fight apparently that has been cancelled is Gervonta Davis and Lamont Roach. Not officially announced yet, but I think there was a post by Gervonta Davis saying the fight was cancelled. So I'm not quite sure if that is the case. We all know different things come out of Gervonta Davis's mouth. He sort of acts before he thinks sometimes, or speaks before he thinks. So, and I'm not really shattered about that either, to be honest. The Lamont Roach against Gervonta Davis. Surely when you fight once a year, you can pick a better fighter than that. There's just so many good fighters around that division. Everyone seems to be proactive and discussing fights and actually fighting and just getting around it, where Gervonta Davis, he just, for such a talent, look, I just think he's going to go down in history as one of the most, what would you call it, underachieving fighters ever. Such talent and such big fights to be made, and apart from Ryan Garcia, has never really had a big fight. I know he's fought the Pitbull Cruisers and those types of guys, but and I think Leo Santa Cruz as well, but yeah, both guys not really legacy fighters. So yeah, I just think as he gets on, what is he, 30, 31, whatever he might be. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what he's doing. And again, when you fight once a year, I think you've got to at least pick at this stage of your career too, when you're in your 30s, pick those legacy fighters, and he just hasn't. He missed out on the Lomachenko fight, you know, and numerous others. So yeah, I mean, to beat the Frank Martins of the world and, you know, to sign the fight with the Lamont Roaches of the world, I'm just not sure that's going to do anything for his legacy at all. So yeah, I think he's wasted his best years, and whether he can actually get them back, I think he should be putting the word out to fight Shakur Stevenson and maybe go to 135 and fight Haney or Teo, whatever. But at the moment, I just think he's just sinking at the moment. I'm just not sure whether he can come back. No one, because when you think about it, no one really cares. There's no one out there really banging the fist on the table for a Gervonta Davis fight, demanding he fight people, because he's just almost a forgotten man, and I think he's been mismanaged. And again, at sort of 30, 31 years of age, I'm not sure he can get back. So anyway, enough on Gervonta. Let's wait till he actually has a fight. A couple other things last night. It was again getting back to Usyk and Fury. As where does Usyk stand in the scheme of things in heavyweight history? It's always great to interact with everyone about the or who enters into the conversation about who's the greatest. I think Oleksandr Usyk now enters the top 10 heavyweights of all time, pound for pound. Of course, if he goes in, someone's got to go out, and that's where the arguments start. But look, I think he's definitely top 10. I think there's a lot of people, or a lot of fighters in front of him in the top 5. I said last night, I think that, you know, Ali, Joe Lewis, Larry Holmes, George Foreman are definitely the top 4. And then you can throw guys in like, you know, who was it? Lennox Lewis, and there's a couple others, Evander Holyfield, Joe Fraser. You can throw those in there as well. So he's got a little bit of work to do to get past them, I think. But of course, the inevitable question came up, because people know that I haven't been overly complimentary to him. That's Rocky Marciano. Whenever you mention Rocky, you always get a reaction. So I'm not going to go into it now, because that creates more feedback. But my opinion was, or is that Rocky's not in the top 10 of all time, and of course, yeah, as I said, the Rocky fans don't like that at all. So, but look, it's always good conversation, and I think the fact that we're talking about Usyk in that light just shows what a great fighter that he is. Undisputed cruiserweight champion, undisputed heavyweight champion, Olympic gold medalist, just one of those once in a generation fighters who is just special for no reason except that he's just special. I said the other day in one of the videos, not the best boxer, not the best puncher, not the best anything, but he just does everything well enough, and just has that drive to win, and the heart and the grit, and whatever you want to call it. He just one of those fighters who gets the job done, and you've got to admire him for that. So come here, buddy. But yeah, so look, that's probably about it as far as the boxing stuff goes, guys. I just wanted to let you know that tomorrow I'll let you off the hook. I won't do a walking boxing tomorrow. It's Christmas Day, of course, so there'll be nothing tomorrow. But I'm going to do a few videos over the Christmas New Year period. Just some different bits and pieces, so look out for those, and then we'll be doing a lot more in 2025, and looking at next week to do actually a end of year wrap up. So I'll put some different polls up and everything, and we can go through it next Monday night on Talking Boxing. But I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who's sent me messages and wishing me happy Christmas or Merry Christmas, and it means a lot, and I wish the same to you out there as well. It's been a great year, and the channel continues to grow, and we have a really good sort of community in it. So have a very, very Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and a safe one more than anything, and we will catch you on Boxing Day. Thanks, guys. See you then.